Hello, everyone. Ben Bryce, joined by Teddy Tarvis on Tuesday, the 24th, giving you your midday mayhem. And Teddy, it's been crazy. Yesterday was a really big day for these grains. We come off of kind of a quiet Friday, and then we get things ramped up. But what are we seeing today? It doesn't seem like these markets are able to hold their own right now.
Yeah, lots of movement here to start the week. It seems like we did kind of have a little bit of that fun buying in there, especially in the soybeans. And then to start again today, we did see a lot of good movement. But throughout the session here, we have been seeing things pull back very slightly. So it makes you wonder if the funds have either just quieted down, or if this is, is this harvest pressure? Is it, guys making cash sales? Is it just sort of a mix of it all? So, you'd think with harvest kind of ramping up here, I know there's been some rain here all over the Midwest, but with harvest ramping up within the next, 7 to 10 days, you got to think there's going to be some pretty good pressure on these grains.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the harvest numbers, right, we got some more yesterday. We're slightly behind the 5-year average. Not a big deal, right? I mean, it's so early on. Let's see what it looks like as we start getting the third half of this crop harvest. Where are we at then? Are we ahead or behind pace, or basically on? Because when you start seeing these numbers, and oh my gosh, we're ahead, it's going to be so, we're going to have so much rain earlier, it really doesn't matter. Pump the brakes a little bit. And I think you made a good point with the funds, right? They're coming in here, they're short, end of the month, end of the quarter, probably seeing a little bit of profit taking out of them right now, which is probably why we're pushing through some of these resistance areas. But what's key is how we finish on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at? Where are we at when we close? Are we able to be above or below those resistance areas? Because at this point, going into, it's 11:30 right now, these markets were hot for the first 30 minutes, and then they've kind of tapered off. So you got to be careful with what you're seeing out there. You got to be quick, because these markets, while they've been relatively sideways, maybe a little bit lower for the past few months, stuff can change very quickly. And we saw some of that last night too, with China coming in and saying they're going to cut the rates, stimulate their economy, because unlike the US, where our economy has been hot and making new all-time highs, we just cut the rates last week. That's not typically something you do to stimulate the economy. And our economy doesn't really need to be stimulated because we're already so high. So why did we cut rates? It's kind of a lot of questions there. Sure, it helps out short-term, money and taking out loans. But again, that introduces a lot of inflation, which is a little bit scary, especially with how high things already are. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe this cut in demand will free up some money in China for investments, whether that's within China or outside of China. But maybe, overall, I think the story that everyone's looking at is maybe this will increase the exports, which,
right,
again, it's a little bit too early to tell. Still, we got to get through our harvest here. It's going to be a big crop. Is it going to be a record? Don't know. But it's so early on that it's really hard to tell. And the numbers that we've been hearing from our customers, kind of all over the road. And again, it's so early on in this harvest area that you can't really say that, we're averaging X or we're averaging Y above or below our, our typical yield. So grains right now kind of in limbo. Be careful, be quick with what you have out there. And if you're profitable, try to lock some of that in, because over the next few months it could get dicey, especially with what's going on in South America, right? It's dry. We know it's dry. It's been dry. But
that's the thing too, is we talk to guys and they say, what's going on in Brazil, what's going on in Argentina, and it's still dry. There's a chance of getting some rain here in the next week or two, but we've known it's been dry.
Right.
So that's nothing new here. So fundamentally, yes, it is helpful to our soybeans and our corn and all that good stuff. But you got to think here, they're going to get some rain eventually. They're going to still be harvesting. They're going to have a good crop. So something to be aware of as we go into this quarterly grain stocks report next week, and then going into fourth quarter.
Right. So that'll be a big deal, right? The weather is important. Like you said, it's dry. Can you get more dry than that? It's going to be kind of hard to. It's going to be whether or not do they see the rains that they're projected to get, and if they don't, well, maybe you have a bigger story moving ahead.
Right. Exactly. So it's really how much longer can you beat the dead horse? So,
right. So speaking of livestock, what are we looking at in cows and pigs today?
Yeah, it's interesting to see the last couple of days. We've seen boxed beef is doing the exact opposite of what cash market's been doing. So it seems like we're getting higher sales, but boxed beef is sort of mixed now. We're getting different numbers here and there, but it is at some pretty low lows of the last 4 to 8 months. So it's hard to say exactly what could happen. But again, it is the end of the month here, end of the quarter. could see a nice strong surge up before we potentially move back down. So just something to be aware of.
Yeah, and like we've talked about before, this cattle market's going to be really it's going to be tied very closely to this S&P and really the U.S. economy. So if we're going to be cutting rates, yeah, yippee, that's good, but we already are making some of these new highs. So if this stock market starts falling apart, we see unemployment pick up, we see just general spending, consumer spending start dropping. That may be something that this cattle market does take to the chin. And this is very similar to what we saw last year, where that cattle market really fell apart going into the last quarter of the year. Not saying that's going to be the case this year, but if the U.S. economy can't hold up, maybe past this election coming up in November, because it's getting really close to that too, what does that do for the cattle market in the long haul? So keep your eye out for that down the road. If you guys have any questions, give us a call. We're available anytime. We can only say so much on here. Markets are exciting. We're finally seeing some movement. So make sure you're getting in contact with your broker. 1-800-2-MARKET. That's 1-800-262-7538. Teddy, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be chatting on Thursday. Have a good one.